Hi everybody, welcome to our week number 11 Twitch live stream for my research methods class. I see some of you getting logged in and joining me here. I can see your names popping up on my screen, so I'm glad to have you with me. Cannot believe it is October 22nd. Halloween is next week. Can't believe that. In some ways, I can't believe we haven't hit Halloween yet. In other ways, I can't believe it's next week. So we are all the way down here. If you scroll down, we're in week number 11 out of 17. We're definitely getting there. Almost done with this month. It's wild. So I want to give you a little bit of feedback from last week, and then we'll look at what we have going on this week. We did have a homework assignment last week along with the discussion, and I saw a lot of really wonderful things, but I do want to obviously give you a little bit of feedback. So really quickly, can you all hear and see me okay? Is everything coming through all right on your end? It looks good on mine, but if someone could give me like a yes or a thumbs up, that would be amazing, just so I know. And if not, we'll hope for the best. But if it's coming through all right, yes, that'd be good. Otherwise, what I want to do, and hopefully you'll tell me if it's not, is we'll look really quickly at last week's discussion and the homework. I saw a lot of really wonderful things. A lot of you should be very happy with how you did. But if I bring this up, so discussion number 10, the one thing that I saw a little bit off, right? And so I have the kind of the feedback for this on my end was when we were looking at what kind of design is it? Okay, so it was a between, I'm sorry, here, let me put this here so I can put this up for you. So then I put this on here on my notes, right? So it was a within subjects design, which is a repeated measures design, right? Where the participants were measured on a dependent variable more than once after they were exposed to each level of that independent variable. So that was the one thing that I saw kind of miss consistently, was that this was something that was a within subjects design and it was a repeated measure, right? So if they're measured more than once, they're measured repeatedly. That's kind of one way you can kind of help keep that straight. A lot of you did a wonderful job talking about the threats to internal validity. Really big one was the order effect, and then also the testing effect, and that it wasn't the most generalizable, right? It didn't have a lot of external validity. It had a really small sample. It was like a sample of convenience, and it wasn't random. So those were some of the things that, and again, a lot of you did a really beautiful job identifying those different components, but that was the thing that I saw that was the most missed. So just to kind of touch on that really quickly, don't forget to also reply to a classmate. There's still a few people who aren't replying to a peer, and you're missing those kind of easy 2 points, which I would hate to have happen for you. And the homework assignment, again, a lot of you did a really beautiful job. The number one thing that I saw was a lot of you, so you did a beautiful job identifying the independent variable, but then you forgot the levels of it. That was one of the things that I saw the most, that people said it was environmental order and then it was orderly versus disorderly. Don't forget to break down the independent variable into its conditions and the dependent variable into how it's being measured. Okay, that was probably the number one thing that I saw. Otherwise, a really wonderful job examining like the construct validity and the internal validity and external validity. Really, really wonderful job. And remember with the homework assignments that you can turn them in late. So if you're looking over your grade and you never turned in homework number 1 or number 2, you can turn them in at this point up to 50% credit. Half credit on that, like 12, 13 points. Definitely better than none. So if you haven't turned in some of those old homework assignments, just the 25-point ones, you can still do that for partial half credit. So just to throw that out there for you. So otherwise, really nicely done. This week we move on to week number 11, kind of a traditional week where we have our lecture video, discussion, and extra credit, and then the recording of the live stream. So kind of a light traditional week, if you will. As always, make sure you do those 3 things with each chapter. Read it in the book, read through the lecture, and watch the lecture video. You want to make sure you do all 3 to really capture and get all of that information. So if you open the lecture for chapter 12, This one is all about experiments with more than one independent variable. I know you probably weren't excited to make it more complicated. We're making it a little more complicated this week. So we're looking at interactions, designs using testing more than one variable or even two variables, factorial design, limits and theories, interpreting results. So you're going to be looking at things like this where you can use a graph or a chart to interpret the results of these different factorial tests that we're using here, looking at interactions between variables. There's a page here beyond the book, kind of a closer look, advantages and disadvantages, more examples with a video. Hopefully the video is kind of helpful for you. Canvas has been acting up a little bit. You can see everything's like, the formatting looks a little off. So we had that big outage earlier in the week, hopefully kind of getting back to normal here. And then you can see the key terms that you also need to know for the next exam, which is next week. So as always, make sure you read through that, click on any videos and watch any videos that are in there. Don't forget to also watch the lecture video where I'm lecturing to some PowerPoint slides, especially with this one. I know this is a week that tends to kind of confuse people a little bit. Factorial designs have another element to them. So kind of going through this with you, hopefully that will be helpful. Discussion 11 for this week, if we take a look at that together. As always, you have my instructions followed by my video. Don't forget to watch the video. I think that's really helpful in kind of guiding you through it and giving you some tips and pointers. Don't forget to be detailed in your responses, show off your knowledge and understanding, and don't forget that 2-point classmate response so that you get those 2 points. Okay, so what you're going to do with this one is there's a little like experiment right here, and here is the data, and then you're going to analyze that data by answering these 6 questions. So a little study here looking at whether people are better at driving while talking on a phone, if they practice doing so or not. They have a couple of different situations. We have more than one independent variable here, so it's definitely a little more complicated. So once you're done with that, you'll answer these 6. What kind of design is this? Put your answer in an X and like a blank by blank kind of format. What are the independent variables and their levels? That will help you to identify this. What is the dependent variable in the study and how is it being measured? Create either by computer or by hand. A lot of people just do this by hand and take a picture. A line graph depicting the results shown above, and then you'll upload that image directly into your discussion post. Estimate and describe any main effects and interactions. You would need statistics in order to calculate it specifically, so you're just estimating. You're just kind of giving a rough idea and describing based on the data you see here and the data and visual of your line graph. And then number 6, what might you conclude from the results? Does experience seem to affect cell phone use while driving? So I look forward to your responses. You'll hit reply when you're ready. You can see some of you have already done this. I love all the little variables and charts that I'll see in here. So very fun to watch you create those. And again, don't forget the classmate response to get those 2 points. I do have an extra credit question for you. I'll give in a minute and a couple of reminders. Very short and sweet this week as we don't have a homework assignment or an exam to review. So first reminder, don't forget to double check your subscription status. Many of you have kind of fallen off a little bit. And if you're watching this later as a recording, which I imagine is several of you since the attendance in here is a little low today, if you're watching this later as a recording, remember you can still get the extra credit if you are subscribed on Twitch. The other reminder I have for you, if you're looking ahead to next week, our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, October 29th at 1:00 p.m. Right, and that will be our week number 12 live stream. On that one, what we'll do is we'll go through and we'll talk a little bit about the next exam that we have next week. I'll give you some feedback on this week and things that I saw and all that fun kind of stuff. So I hope that you're here to join me for that. Let me also give you the extra credit question for this week. I'm going to copy and paste it here into the chat for you so that you can answer it. And again, if you're watching this later as a recording, as long as you're subscribed, you can still do that. So this is the week number 11 Twitch extra credit question. And the question for you is, what is the difference between a main effect and an interaction effect? What is the difference between a main effect and an interaction effect? And when you're ready to answer that, since we're in week 11, you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 11 right here. And then up at the top, click on start assignment. And it'll bring up that box where you can type your response. And then when you're done, hit submit for your confetti burst and moons. Confetti and stealing the moon, right? My soccer team were the mighty minions, right? We would steal the moon, like in Despicable Me. But anyway, you could do this again. I hope a lot of you are taking advantage of this. It's 2 points every week, which will definitely help and add up. What I'll do is I'll hang out for a few minutes if any of you have any questions, but it doesn't look like there are very many of you in here with me. So if you think of something later, or if you're watching this later and think of something, feel free to email me. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope that I see you all next week for our pre-Halloween meeting that we have on Wednesday. Very excited to eat lots of candy next week for Halloween. And again, I hope you're all doing well. So I'm going to minimize my video so I'm not staring at myself. But if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm going to put thank you in the chat. Thank you, everyone. And like I said, I'll hang out for a little bit if you do have any questions. And then if not, you can email me later.